If you're wondering what the fuck I'm doing, let me ask you. Are you familiar with the term looks maxing? And if you're not, looks maxing is maxing out your appearance so you are more attractive, essentially. And I'll say this first. That isn't a bad thing at all. It's not a bad thing. I'm not here to talk negative about that. I'm never really here to speak negatively for the record. I'm a realist and I speak honestly and open and I share my experiences. But why I'm bringing this up is because it's a trend within the area and culture that I'm in online, and particularly as a man. Looks maxing is a part of what you stumble across in self-improvement. I remember maybe 6-7 years ago, I probably stumbled across mewing, which was, and for me, someone who's always had sinus issues, mewing was a big wake-up call, and still to this day, my nose is battered, so I'm breathing through my mouth way more than I should. But mewing was one of the first practices, I guess is what people call it. It doesn't matter what people call it now. Right now it's being referred to as looks maxing. But it's self-improvement for how attractive you are, essentially. And I will say, this is very important because the more attractive that you are, and I'm talking sincerely attractive, I'm not into superficial attraction, because attraction should really emanate health and energy and frequency. That's what attraction is. And I'm talking about real attraction, right? Not the superficial kind. So looks maybe like, and I'm talking about maybe injecting poison into you in some way, doing things that might not be the best form of holistic health as a protocol, to also layer yourself. And I know this one's probably a little bit controversial, but it's the reality. To layer yourself in chemicals to quote unquote smell good. And I'm talking about aftershaves, and I'm talking about the industry of perfumes and fragrances. And not only can I not wear that stuff because it fucks my nose up and my body responds to it incredibly badly, but the impact is actually having it on your endocrine system and your hormone generation. And there's swings and roundabouts. I talk about holistic health, but at the same time, fucking hell, I'm driving on the road in Europe, I'll have a McDonald's. I'm a sucker for a double cheeseburger. There's a reality of not keeping this kind of rigid, fortress that you're a Buddhist monk. But the point I'm making is actually looks maxing. It's a trend. It's flying through the internet right now, and I'm asking you, are you familiar with it? Because if you are, good, actually. For the most part, it's a very positive thing to improve yourself. And I will know a hell of a lot about that because that's all I've ever focused on in my life. Actually, when I was 21, so over 10 years ago, I wrote a book called Improve Yourself. And I realized through that book, that's all I ever cared about was growing. I was moving away from things I didn't want to do. I was moving away from feelings and experiences I didn't want to have. Anxiety, maybe. Maybe a lack of what people would call confidence. But I'm making this video to ask you a second question. What about character maxing? What about charisma maxing? What about fucking charm maxing, yeah? And there's no wrong or right here. There's no wrong or right. But here's a point I want to exclaim. We need people doing different things. We need different messages. We need a variance of exposure to many different things, because otherwise you can oversaturate yourself with information, and particularly the way that the algorithms work and what becomes popular and what becomes trending. And I will never be a part of that, ever. I will never be a part of that, because I'm not like that. Why? To the point of this video. I'm very authentic myself. I'm not, and I say this quite a lot, I'm not here to be liked. You can like me or hate me. Doesn't matter. I'm here to be effective and fulfill my purpose as a man on this earth, to increase vibration and frequency of other human beings that are connected to the collective mind, and at the same time realize, because I'm fucking unbelievably self-aware, that this human life is actually a limitation of your true self. So when you've died many times, when you've experienced a lot of death, when you've been through many different experiences, you're spiritually liberated. And I'm not fearful of death. I don't fear death. I'm liberated. And the reason I express this is because it enables me to be myself when I walk in a room. It enables me to be myself when I'm recording this video. It enables me to be myself in times where it's easy not to be. And I've always been an individual, and that will often rub people up the wrong way sometimes. But who gives a fuck? Not me. People do. There was a time, and I've grown a lot, to realize at one point I did care, because I wanted to care for people and I never wanted to do people wrong. And then I realized, no matter how fucking much you do that, someone makes some shit up in their mind that you're a problem. And certain catalytic events happen in my life where I learned to detach from that. And significantly, I want to bring this up. Character maxing. Charisma maxing. I cannot tell you how few people, and I stumble across a lot of people all the time online, all the time, in person. I watch content, maybe it's not in person, but I'm observing and analyzing what's going on in markets. I'm seeing, people say the world is a small place, and it is. And so is the online space. It's very small. There's not a lot. And I believe that's because you mentally can only really access, at one time at least, a limited amount of data. And your mind's only going to be able to access a limited amount of data of what you're interested to, what you watch, what your awareness is. Like, I right now do not have a clue who is the champion cheese roller. Yeah, that's a real sport, rolling cheese down hills. I have no clue who the fuck the champion is. But there is a fucking community, pages, merchandise, likely businesses based around sport, based around rolling cheese down a fucking hill. And I understand in context, culture and communities very well, because I've experienced a lot of different things. One of them being arm wrestling, for an example, amongst many. Arm wrestling. If you don't know that arm wrestling is a sport, then you are not exposed to arm wrestling. If you do know arm wrestling is a sport, great. If you've arm wrestled competitively as a sport, as I am, you're in a completely different other level. If you're a professional arm wrestler, which I'm not, they're at this completely other different level. But the point is, there's fucking so much shit out there. You can only expose yourself to so much. And my message in this video is the purpose of being yourself wherever you go. The purpose of looks maxing, yeah, Sure, yeah, sure. Great. Something I focus on consciously all the time. I do. But where's everyone talking about embracing your inner self? Where's everyone really speaking about the need to be authentic? The need to get in touch and find, and there's a method to this for the record. There's a reason why we lose that as we grow up. Because we have it as children, and we lose it as we grow up. And this is another reason you also lose aesthetically. Most children are beautiful. If you look, like, not every baby is. Sometimes you get those little ugly babies. But most babies are beautiful and cute, as people would say. And genetically, things are usually in symmetry. You have features and whatever it is. But as you go through life and you experience more trauma, more experiences, more toxicity, poor habits, poor lifestyle, who knows what you go through? Of course, your features change. But so does your spirit. So does your inner self that no one really speaks about. And I would feel it's probably my purpose, because I'm aware of this, because no one is speaking about it, and I'm aware of this, it's a sign. I should probably speak about this. To actually raise your vibration and emanate more of your aura, and to be more of yourself. Character max, charisma max, humor max. Have a sense of humor. You don't have to feel like you've got to make everyone in the world laugh. But you just emanate the truest version of yourself to attract the people that are going to find you somewhat at least funny, entertaining. No one's really speaking about that. And I thought it was a duty to at least mention it. And here's a few things that I could say tangibly, because I want some tangible advice to come from this. If you're someone, and I might be talking to someone that's likely a younger man, or I might be speaking to someone that's not. Either way, if you're a human being, this is going to resonate with you. You need to understand what isolation and space is required for you to get in touch with yourself. And you might be familiar with people that say, say you go traveling. People like to say, "Oh, I've gone to find myself. I've gone to find myself." And there's a reality of that. That's true. I'm not knocking that. But more accurately, I would say is you're learning to let go and dissolve who you think you are, who you might have had to formulate a character for, who you personality-wise have become as a consequence of your environment, your habit, and your lifestyles, which isn't you. And the less time that you experience connected to yourself inside, and you'll know that, consciously or unconsciously, through experiences when you're in social situations or you're in life. And there's a world going on inside you, but there's an area of life outside of you that you're not expressing that inner world. And that's the gap between how authentic you are, how much you're being true to yourself. And the more true you are to yourself, the more you will evolve and ascend spiritually. This is a absolute core component of life. And I would say this. You need to find isolation and space first. That's crucial. If you keep trying to grow in yourself and look to dissolve characters that you've learned to become over time because of your environments, and you continue to stay in those environments and go, "Oh, it's fucking really hard to change." Get the fuck out of your environment. Get the fuck out, yeah? Figure it out. Once you've got space to do it, get out. I don't know what that looks like. You don't have to jump on a plane and leave your country, but go for a trip somewhere. Go, if you can't do anything else, go for a fucking walk. Start to go and walk in isolation. Put headphones in. Do whatever you need to do. But find some time in isolation. That's my first point. Second point is you have to get around people that see and hear you for who you are. And if you're around me, I guarantee you, and I use this word very sparingly, but this is so fitting. I guarantee you, fact, that if you're around me, I will see and hear who you are, because that's my spiritual gift. And that's what I bring out of people, in fact. If you're around me, some people that triggers. If you're not around me from a dynamic that you've chosen to be, and this is what you've signed up for, if you just deal with my collateral sometimes, that triggers people. Because I expose and bring light to a room. And I say expose in a neutral way, not in a negative or a positive. Neutrally, I just expose what's going on in a room. And some people don't like that. Those of you are Those of you who are looking to ascend spiritually, become more self-aware, to grow, you have to get around people that see and hear you. So you can begin to be yourself and engage with someone that sees and hears you. And that is really difficult, actually. I have a lot of experience with women. I've done this with men, yes, but here's the difference with women. Women show you their emotions. And I can see emotions in men. It's not to say that I can't. But women show you their emotions. They cry. Yeah, they get flustered. And the amount of women that just have a conversation with me, I'm not intending to do anything. I'm being myself. And I'm speaking very authentically and truthfully with a woman. And she'll start crying. Why? I'll tell you why. And these women will tell you why. They feel seen. They feel heard. They feel like they're in a safe space. And when that happens, and I'm asking them questions, usually because when I see that someone's going through something, they're having difficulty, they're struggling, they're having trouble, and typically if you're around me, whether you like it or not, there's natural eminence of coaching that comes from me. And that makes men and women release things. And there's many ways that can happen. But the second point is to get around people that see and hear you for who you are truly. And you can't do that if you don't know who you are first. So isolation happens first. And then you need to get around the people that enable you to do that. And avoid the people that project onto you an image, a residual image, Neo, of who the fuck they think you are, projected onto you. You have to get away from that. You have to get away from that. That's like trying to watch a movie in the cinema, metaphor for just trying to live your life, and someone keeps coming up and shining a light on you. How fucking annoying would that be? There's probably a case, potentially, I don't know who I'm speaking to right now, but you're experiencing subtle versions of that in your life. And if you are, get away from people that don't enable you to be yourself, or you feel like you can't really be honest around, and get around those that can. And the third point is, there's so much to gain when you're diving into new experiences. Novelty. I seek novelty. So I'm always changing and doing new things. Right now I'm living from Airbnb to Airbnb, from country to country. I'm driving around with my family on the road, earning money online, always dealing with new students, always dealing with new clients, always connecting with new people, exposing myself to new information, doing character studies on new people. I'm doing new things all the time. You could say I'm addicted to that. If I'm not doing that, I don't feel fulfilled. And that novelty gives you a lot of new experiences that continue to shed layers. And you have ego deaths and cycles, and you go through this. But ultimately what happens is you get closer and closer to the root of who you are. And you get more and more practice and repetition to be that self. So there's 3 main points there. And to loop this, and I've got about a minute left to close this. That's pretty good time. Looks maxing is great. Yeah, I'm not against it. Yeah, I would even say, spend some time observing yourself. Have fun with it. Yeah, have fun with it. But don't forget the real internal work. Because when your internal self shifts inside, externally you emanate that. So that's also going to come. And if you ask me, there's nothing worse than someone that you see a picture of someone, you're like, wow, cool, what a stud. Great jawline, even if it's a female, whatever it is. So a great shape, you do that. And then they open their mouth and they talk. And they've got no substance to them. That's like, I'm going to think of an example that's not that flattering, but it is what it is. It's like realizing you meet your dream man or woman, right? And you meet the man, and the man has a micro penis. And you're like, oh shit. Not just a small penis, a micro penis. A thumbnail. And it's just like, oh, fucking over. It's never going to work. And if you're a guy, it's like you feel like you meet your dream woman. Feel like you meet your dream woman. But she's a lazy fuck that doesn't do anything. You know, she looks the part. And she's a lazy fuck and does nothing. It's over. And the point I'm making is, what you look like isn't enough. Who you are is important. And I would say the most important thing is who you are. Because who you are, not always, is the extent of it, but who you are is what you emanate in your look. And you're getting closer to the source. Don't forget the real work. Don't avoid it. And if you understand anything about wisdom, it's not about this. It's not about that. It's about both. It's about duality. It's about polarity. It's about doing both. And if you're not doing both, you're fixated in judgment. This is better than that. That's better than this. You have to be impartial. Wisdom is understanding both sides. And if you can do that, you'll look great. You have character. You have a fucking sense of humor. You have fun. And you will magnetize towards you the people that resonate with your energy. And that is the message of this video. If you enjoyed this video, leave me a comment, like, subscribe. Just do what you want to do, but do something. Don't just fucking watch, consume, and bounce. See you soon.